The house always wins.
The house always wins.
It's like a ton of money.
Yeah, and then by the way, skips the house. What are they gonna do? Swim to Florida? Like they can't get off the island, you know?
They could have a casino that's like Havana, Havana.
Yeah.
Cuba themed.
Yeah, I could go over there and open a Toyota dealership. This is called a Japanese car. Oh no, they're making cars now. Yeah, absolutely. I think I was driving taxi cabs from the 40s, but Japanese like what's called a compact car. It's awesome.
They just did a story today, in fact, that Fidel's old limos are now their cabs.
Really?
That's today's. You're so on top of things.
Really?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Is Fidel alive?
I don't know. Raul's there.
He is on top of things, really.
Well, is Raul is running the place? Do you feel like Cuba runs itself? I just feel like Dr. Drew took a trip with his kids, his triplets, about 10 years ago, through the Panama Canal, and at some point they ended up in Cuba, and he had an audience with Fidel Castro, and not an intimate audience, but he had a speaking engagement, and he talked for about 3 hours about baseball, and he was a crazy fucking old man, and that was 10 years ago.
Senators. He was going to play in Washington.
That's right.
Like a real baseball player. Yeah?
Well, yeah. So you could dedicate 20 minutes to baseball at that point, but not the entire 3 hours. But I guess when you're a dictator, you're kind of like a hot blonde. Your junior year of college, like no one ever pokes you in the ribs and goes, "Shut the fuck up, bitch." So fucking boring.
Or they never do it twice.
Yeah, they never do it twice. Like someone goes, "Come on, tell Fidel he's been waxing on too long about his ball playing days." Yeah, you fucking tell him, asshole.
There's no one in the wings going to wrap it up.
Right. All right, should we do a little, sorry. So, John, last time we were here, you were here, we spoke about something that I called the gurney bubble.
Right.
Which is your head.
Well, it is not my head.
Well, the gurney bubble... The Gurney Bubble, there's a tall race car driver who's a legendary race car driver named Dan Gurney. Woo!
Legendary.
Dan Gurney drove in one of the Ford GT40s that won Le Mans for the US of A, so you guys should be a little more excited about that. Back in like 1964, and he was such a tall dude that the top of the car had a little bubble on top of it where his head would go.
Wow.
Was it?
Well, it's in terms that the rest of us would get. It's like when you order a Starbucks coffee, drink with a lot of whipped cream, and they put the bubble cap on top.
That's exactly, that's why you're up here. But that would be the entire dome. This was just sort of the roof of the car. Yeah, this is a picture. It's a little bit tough to see, but if you look at the very top, you'll see that little kind of blister that they added on to the top of the thing. So, the dirty bubble. And I don't have it anymore. It's right Sure.
And it was a big lump on my bald head, and it was a story that I had for years because when you're bald, right, you notice I don't do. I'm sorry. I didn't think people have noticed. It's time to come out. So yeah, so when I went to get it fixed, the doctor said plastic surgery. That's part of your face because you're bald. And I'm like, well, I'm Swedish. I'm not a hairy guy. So part of my face now extends to about my calves. So if I get a lump on my ass, facial surgery. Right. Which I don't want to get, so it's going to be really expensive. Plastic surgery, insurance can cover. Your show, I do your show, you relentlessly mock and
I only did like 28 minutes on it.
Look, anything over 30 I'd have been pissed.
Right.
So it goes, and somebody emails me about the gurney bubble, and then I work for a doctor who's willing to take a look at it.
Right.
And said, the doctor, this is medicine in America, he goes, I'll say it's cancer.
Right.
I'm like, oh, cool. And so he cut it out.
How dare you?
Yeah, sorry about that. I know, I forgot. I'm sorry, Brian. I apologize. Yeah, I know. And it was mocking people with cancer, and I felt bad about it for a second, but I'm like, yeah, but now it's a difference between $17,700. It's cancer.
Right.
It was cancer to me and him and everyone involved.
Turned away a few veterans, by the way.
on since Memorial Day.
Pretty good.
I didn't do bad, right?
What do they do?
They knocked me out, and I should have sent you a picture of it. It looked like a boneless chicken wing. He took it out, and I was gonna, because in radio this is what you do. You get a lump removed from your head, and you're like, I dare the lowest paid employee on the staff to eat it.
Right.
But they wouldn't give it to me, so they just gave me photos of it, and it looked like a little boneless chicken wing that had been living in my head for 14 years.
I just threw up in my mouth.
Yeah, I know. That's what the doctor said.
And did something miraculous happen? Like you could learn, you played the recorder the next day flawlessly, or you
speak
spoke
German?
fluent Mandarin or something. Nothing good at all.
We're never math. I'm a math whiz, but other than that, no, nothing
So
good.
just and where did it come from?
I had a sinus infection. My whole head swelled up.
Oh,
And
yeah,
it popped
yeah.
out my skin, and it stayed there.
I know I always say this, but everybody that has a good visible injury, please make up a story that sounds
And
at
I learned
least
that last
compelling
year.
or interesting. I know the
I know.
sinus infection thing could be a, MMA related. Could have been some guy was eyeballing me at the bar and it turned out he was Chuck Liddell. It could have been anything, or even something, bizarre of a sexual nature. You know what I mean?
It just, I came once, and I had a bubble in my head the next morning. I
Yeah,
can't explain
something.
it. I internally came.
Right. I think they call that retrograde. All right, do we have, you want to do a little, what can Adam complain about? All right, let's do this.
The world is full of it, and one man can complain about it all. This is Adam Complain About.
Al-Jawani. Austin is right. One in a hijack.
Tennessee let him text this over.
Benson, Arizona. AJ has Benson, Arizona. I love that show. What do you got, AJ?
Hello.
What do you got there? Nachos?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Sweet. Okay. Let me. I've asked this before. We'll ask the staff this. Has anyone ever taken nachos home in a doggy bag? Not in the fucking history. You can go to the Nacho Museum in Plentywood, Montana. You will not see a nacho doggy bag. It's never happened. If they do, they use a playing card to scrape it into a slipper and hand it to you. There's no. It's liquefied. It's going bad as we speak. Like I feel like every
It's a little window.
if you order sliders and they give you 3 and you eat 2 of them, you'll take 1 slider home. I feel you'll take onion rings. I feel there's shrimp, everything, tacos, everything. I don't feel like nachos has ever gone home
And
with
that's
somebody.
really saying something because it's totally drunk food.
I know.
Even
it's
a
hard.
really drunk person knows
Yes.
behind his hat.
I know, but here's what will happen with nachos. You will only take nachos home when you're drunk. When you're drunk, you always forget you brought the food home and you leave it in the car. Then you do that move where you get into the car the next morning and you go, someone's making pizza in this car? What? What's going on in this car? Like, I kind of like it, but what is going on in the car? And then you have to carry it like one of those bags people collect dog shit in over to the garbage can. I just want to know, has any human being ever has anybody ever brought nachos home? Yes? This guy, I like this guy. You brought nachos home? And finished them? Because you were, no, it was one of those drunken, it's a weird thing. Hold on a second with the complaint. One second. There's a weird move you do when you're drunk, which is you obsess on certain shit, and then your friends are like, I want my rain poncho. And they're like, it was free. They gave it to you at the car wash. Leave it alone. And you start fighting with people over it. And then You're a lot. Remember when Buster Douglas knocked out Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson was on the ground and he was feeling around for his mouthpiece, like he was just completely. He was on another planet, but he was still just reflexively like feeling around for this thing. I feel like there's a drunken Nacho version of that. So you had to be completely fucking shit-faced, right? And you're saying smaller friends. Thank you for enjoying the Mangria. Your sane, smaller friends were trying to talk you out of it. Leave the Haas, leave the fucking nachos. 28 cents worth of beans and fake guacamole. You're not gonna fuck yeah, my nachos. It is weird, that thing where you're drunk and you just get laser focused on one meaningless piece of shit, horrible idea, and that's what you spend the rest of your night fighting with your friends over. But that was you and your nachos. Did they make it out of the car? No, they didn't make it out of the car. Okay, good.
Let's get this guy some nachos.
All right,
What do you think?
I'm glad. All right, now this guy's nachos have gone bad. All right, I'm sorry, BJ. What did you have?
Hello? What?
Oh, yeah, what can I complain about? A clean butthole. A clean butthole.
That's good.
That's vulgar, but it's good. Okay. I gotta say, every time I take a crap, it is like playing craps. I don't know what kind is coming out. No, but what I'm saying is this. Again, you know, I'm not a religious man, but I wish God would have designed us in a slightly more consistent way, which is there's sometimes I wipe my ass and I look at the toilet paper and I seriously consider hanging it back on the roll. Like flipping it,
Cleaner than it started.
flipping it over and hanging it back on the roll. There's no evidence that this was swiped like a credit card across my asshole. You do one good fold instead of right back. Yes, listen, I'm trying to save the planet one dry wipe at a time. There's no reason this shit should end up in the bay. There's nothing here. I don't know how many forests we've taken down in the rainforest to make this piece of toilet paper, but I'm not going to contribute to it. This thing is fucking pristine. It may be better than it was before I wiped my asshole with it. And then there are other times when you wipe and it's like, the fifth wipe, there's more shit on it than there was the first wipe. And you're like, all right, this is some kind. First off, at some point I gotta go to work, and then it's like, what am I, a mechanical pencil? Like I feel like someone just twists my wrist and another 3/16 of shit comes out every time. And then at a certain point you just gotta cut bait and go, fuck it, I'm gonna take a shower at some point, but I'm leaving. And then if you do what I do, which is you grab the wipes that are on top of the toilet and get pissed off that your wife left them open even though they have the zip top on there. Fucking couldn't even zip them. So excited about wiping your asshole that you couldn't. You didn't want to interrupt your ass wipe celebration by zipping the top of this thing shut, and now the top one's dried out. But at a certain point, you just go, fuck it, I gotta live my life. You know what I mean? I don't care what my asshole's like. So, I'm telling you, if you think nachos is gonna help, you're going down the wrong path. But I can tell you this, no rhyme, no reason. It's not like you can equate it to, oh, well, there's a full moon, so, my asshole will be clean tonight. It's not like I eat Dutch food, so you don't eat Dutch food. Like, there's nothing. It just is or it isn't. And I just wish the asshole would sort of get on the same page as me. That's all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You're an asshole. Also, let me say this about the asshole. I feel like there's a whole sexual ass-related world that I'm missing out on. You know what I mean?
That was me when you
Well,
said that.
you guys know what I'm talking about. But I'm not into the digit dropping. I'm not into the tongue darts. I'm not into any of that stuff. The salad being tossed or any of the things. But I think it might be good. Maybe I'm prejudiced. You know what I mean? Like maybe maybe I'm set in my ways when it comes to my asshole, but maybe I should open my mind and my sphincter a little bit. You know what I mean?
I don't want to interrupt your rant, but I was 22 years old, and a girl I was with was known for asshole play.
Oh, really?
And so every day in the shower, I would wash my ass extra because I'm like, today could be the day I find out the asshole is awesome.
Yeah.
So we're in the middle of a.
How, by the way, like I have a daughter, and I would like her known for like, she's really good at volleyball, but not, Natalia is really the queen of asshole play. So.
Terrible athlete, amazing with the asshole. So we're in the middle of the throes of passion, and she decides to go from what I really enjoy to pushing my thighs up to my shoulders, and I'm like, here we go, this is what I've been washing for. And as she started to work into that direction, I felt the slight play, like a bee. You almost want to kind of run, but at the same time, it's like if you run, you get stung.
Right.
So I stay there, my thighs are touching my shoulders.
Right.
And as she began to lick my ass, a tear left my eye. And I'm like, okay, I'm not crying. This is probably just like allergies. And it just started to run down my face. I'm like, I can't let her see this. So
Yeah.
So you wipe your tears away, and you realize I'm being raped.
I like, by the way, the white
story.
White man. So he got the bump on his head. I like the first world white guy problems. You know, the Indian's crying because we slaughtered his people and threw trash all over his highway. You're crying.
She was Native American.
Oh, was she? Oh.
But really,
Poking
how
asshole.
was she known for amazing ass play? Like, how did this word get around? How did you hear? What? Everything.
It was just conversations that happened between other guys, and I would like deny it, but she had told me that her old boyfriend liked this.
Well, can I say this? I feel I'm going to double back, pardon the pun, on this conversation with my daughter now. Now, hold on.